evening, good evening, good evening. Who gives you the wedding you've always dreamed of in a castle but forgets to tell you about the second family in Puelli? That's one for the Brits over there. It's us, American Scouts on TV Thursday Night Podcast, ASTV for the cool kids, and also our second families hidden away, squirreled away in very strange parts of Wales for some strange reason. I don't know why. Probably because the ferry goes there really easily. We're joined by Brian and Cozzy tonight. No, Susie, I believe he's being dentisted from dentistry people, and probably can't talk, as is the way. And, you know, I'm at the dentist every day. That's why I can't talk in general. But, Brian, how are we?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's Friday.
It is Friday for me, for sure. 3-day weekend. It's unheard of. Cozzy, how are we?
I am good, gents. Yes.
Good stuff. We have big greetings to Hassan there. Good to see you again, Hassan. We love to see you. And, you know, maybe Hassan has clicked those links and subscribed. So you got hear that YouTube bell, etc., for when we have new shows, which is what you all should be doing. So you can be hearing us and watching us at the appropriate times. But we bring good news. We only talked about this last week on one of our topics, but signed, sealed, and delivered. We now have Salah and Van Dijk signed up for another 2 years, which is exactly what we all wanted. Suits us, suits the club, suits the players, and suits the manager. Probably doesn't suit the rest of the league now, to be fair. Then we will have a little diversion this week. Instead of Room 433, we're going to be talking about our three favourites, our three favourite captains, our three favourite goal scorers, and three favourite defenders in honour of our new, you know, it's like a new signing, as I'm sure Richard Hughes is waiting to say. And then we look ahead to the game this weekend. But, gentlemen, it's now good to see them smiling there. For some reason, Salah grew hair all of a sudden. Now that he has more money. But that was great news. I had a very, very busy week because it was a 4-day week. I had a very, very busy day. I was literally looking to see what the scores were for the European games today. And saw BBC, Van Dijk signs new contract. It's a banner day, isn't it, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. I think this, having them sign for 2-year deals is ideal for us in the long run. I mean, it gives us a chance right there to actually go and bring players in, vet them to go there to go ahead and move on to replace them. I mean, it's an ideal time right there to sign a new defender now because there's no expectations. There's no pressure on him, especially on that left side right there, for them to move into that position. I mean, as far as Mo goes right there, same thing right there. There's we could bring a player in, let that player come in there and get himself vetted in, and then, and move on. I mean, so yeah, I'm delighted. I mean, 2-year deals also for two players right there who, Mo's still doing what Mo's up. Mo's pretty healthy. I mean, so I think he definitely has another 2 seasons left in. And Verge, like I said last week, right there, has reinvented himself right there to become a very smart, savvy defender. I mean, when I think that his guidance right there in the back right there is going to be immense for us in the future.
Because we've been saying, fair number of times, any two of the three would be a good result. You're still convinced that Trent Alexander-Arnold will sign, and we'll get on to that. But for these two to sign at least, it means we do have a recognised goal scorer going into next season, and the club's leader going into next season. Arne Slot can really begin the rebuilds now, can't he? For him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's massive anyway. What they've done for this football club, the legends anyway, of course, but it's more the fact of there's so many positives to it. It's hard to list off. Not only the fact, and let's go back to the football here, they are still two best in their position in the world, and it's not close. It's just
I'm not sure. Harry Maguire scored a goal today. That puts him right up there, doesn't it?
There's young Harry. So they are still that, and then Liverpool, they are automatically Liverpool players. You're not signing transfer fees. You're not giving agent fees. All that they are Liverpool players already. They are tried and tested, and they are guaranteed. The hardest thing in the world, and you can go and ask most teams around the league, is to go and find the guaranteed 20 goals every year. Because my God, it's hard, and that's why Isak is getting touted for over the 120 to 150 million, because that's what he guarantees you. So there's that. there's other parts of this as well for the benefit of the players and the club. In terms of if you're trying to negotiate with new signings, you say, hey, you're playing alongside Virgil van Dijk, and he made Ibrahima Konate be the captain of France, and my fucking God, Ibrahima Konate was the captain of France, which is absolutely wild. So there's that. He made Joel Matip look like a better football player. He made Joe Gomez look like a better football player because he makes everyone around him look like a better football player. Oh, and by the way, Mo Salah, if you're a number 9, you're going to be playing alongside Mo Salah. And he gets to average around 20 assists a season this year. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if we had a striker who could actually finish, he might be on 25 to 30. And that could be you. So there's that benefit. And then this is going back to the club's benefit, lads, which I've said for months and months. It buys the club time.
Yeah.
The club has 2 years to sort it out. Go and find me a right winger. Go and find him. If it's Ben Doak next year, let's just say it's Ben Doak getting his chance, playing the League Cup games, and okay, it's Ben Doak, that's fine. That's what you'll believe it is. But now you've got time on your hands. It also passed this chance where no one's even thought about as well. It might not even be the last contracts, especially Virgil. It might not even be Virgil's last contract. It could, Virgil's 34, I think, in July. So we could take him up to 36. The way Virgil van Dijk plays, he could play to 38 to 40. Very comfortably. Especially if he gets a really nice, young, competent left back and a nice, good centre half alongside him. And you never know. So, over the moon.
And the number 6.
Listen, I'd love a defender who can help him. Imagine giving him a prime Fabinho, mate. He could play till he's 45. Do you know what I mean? If he had prime Fabinho in front of him. But I'm over the moon. I really am. I'm ecstatic, and it's 2 good ones, and hopefully we do have one left, but we shall see.
We shall see. Brian, Hassan talks about the leadership qualities. Now, there have been instances where we have questioned in specific games, not overall, the leadership qualities of the 2 most senior players at the club. But overall, their leadership is there to be seen, isn't it? A little bit more quiet leadership from Salah. Like, he doesn't stop. He may not have the best of games, but he doesn't stop trying to have the best of games. Whereas Salah is the most vocal leader. Being Dutch, he probably just can't shut up, and that's his thing. But that is vital, because if we lost and this is a part of what we've been talking about here on the Thursday show, is that losing those 2 and losing all 3 really in terms of the chance creation. But Arne starts building again from day 1. On day 367, and this means he doesn't have to, right? He can ease people in. Maybe he'll decide he actually likes Chiesa next season. I don't think he will, but maybe he does, and he has a bit of time to play with it now. He's not trying to make it, because he's doing fantastic winning the league this year, but I'm sure the pressure was enormous on him just to make a positive statement somehow, taking over from Jurgen Klopp. He's made the best one. But maybe in the back of his mind, he's thinking, they might think I'm a fraud. I might have a bit of imposter syndrome here. It's not my team. I want to put my team together and do it again. And now he has that bit of luxury to do that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, because you actually have a foundation now for your side right there. But it goes like what we talked about here. This summer's going to be big. I mean, it's going to be a big summer right there, because you're going to see a lot of people right there who are going to get rotated out, and some of them maybe actual fan favorites right there that are going to probably not going to be here to come next season. I mean, I think that slot right there is he's still hasn't put his complete touch on this side right there. So we really don't know. It's we know what exactly we are going to get right there. So I mean, but having like I said, having that leadership behind already there, having the ability to come through to vet players and to let them know that there's no pressure on them and let them move through there is immense. I mean, it's an immense thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that slot overall right there is going to go in there and make this his side, and that means that there will be people that are on Klopp's side that won't be here next year.
Hang on one second. Are you drinking from a blue tumbler, Cozzy? A blue tumbler.
This is the one that I fill up with ice. That's why I'm knowing I'm not going to overspill it when I pour the water. So it's one of them. I can just stand there and talk. Knowing it's fine. It's one of those ones. But no, listen. I mean, Brian brings up a point as well, in terms of building his own squad. But there's also pieces out of, for example, Brendan Rodgers' squad that Klopp used, i.e. Bobby Firmino, James Milner, Dejan Lovren. These are all Brendan Rodgers signings, and he used them. Nathaniel Klein early on.
Kleiny.
Yeah, exactly. So he even got a tune out of Joe Allen for 12 months and made him look half competent. So the manager will want to build his own squad, and but I also think as well the comments that Virgil van Dijk made about it's going to be a big summer. He's at the stage in his career where he can go and ask the manager about going.
He must have heard something, right? That's what you think.
Certain players who get to that stage in the career where they can go and ask the manager and go, "What's the plan here? I've been here for X amount of years. I've won everything. It's the last contract. What's the plan? Because I want to win now." They don't sign unless they've been told we're going to win now. If they're getting told we're going to sign 20-year-olds, they're going to go, I don't want to get involved with this. Like, I need to win right now. If you're in Van Dijk's case, I can go to PSG in the semi-final of the Champions League, and that could be the one that gets them over the line. Do you know what I mean? So they've been told that clearly, which is exciting as well. But again, I go back to the first big link this week was the Dean Hyson out of Bournemouth, which kind of a lot of quite respectable journalists at least mentioned. He's 20 years of age, centre half. I'm not his biggest fan, by the way. We can get to that. He doesn't win far. He doesn't win enough duels for me. He doesn't look big enough, but he's 20 years of age and he might grow into his body. I remember when you see first pictures of Joe Gomez and now you see him, it's like two different people. When you see Trent Alexander-Arnold at 19, 20 and you see him now, he's a man. So there is part of that which might grow. But if you're Dean Hyson, you want to play alongside Van Dijk, learn off him for 2-3 years. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what a better learning experience. So it's so exciting, fella, and I'm just so happy that they're here for a minimum of 2 years.
Brian, in terms of making the shape of the team, I think that 4-2-3-1 hybrid is probably stroke 4-3-3 kind of deal we have gone on with Slot. He has two of the pieces there. Well, three for sure with Alisson. I don't think Alisson's gone anywhere anytime soon. We've talked about where we need some fixes. We need a number 9 for sure, a proper number 9. Another midfielder in there, maybe a number 6, but definitely somebody in there that can, help those three out so they're not, taking human growth hormone in the middle of a game just to recover from that 20-yard sprint they had to do because they've done 5 billion of them all season. And a left back and a right back, but let's say Canate does manage to understand what fitness and non-injury and not getting sent off actually means. We can hope. It's one of those days. But, there's a lot of great things because my fear was that Arne Slot would win this league. We'd lose the players and now he's on a hiding to nothing for a season and a half. And then that's the end of Arne Slot and we never see him again. He becomes almost like the Wim Janssen of Celtic. Kind of comes in, stops Rangers winning the 10, but that's it. You never see him again.
Even Gerrard Celtic. At the Rangers part.
Go back to the Rangers part. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he only had to beat Neil Lennon, and Neil Lennon spends day after day beating himself. So that was a good one for him. But there's it's a great day for us fans. It's a great day for the players, but it's also a great day for the management, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to instill confidence in him right there too, right there. Like to say that, hey, I have the faith in the current captain of this squad right there to go to who can leave to go anywhere to go in there to stay another 2 seasons. Same thing with Mo. I mean, Mo could have gone anywhere. Mo is another player right there, but they had the confidence right there to go in there and know that the manager has a plan. And it's like what Kasi said right there. When you get to that point of your career right there, you walk in and say, hey, I'm about to roll out. I'm 32 years old, and to say, hey, what are we doing here? And if I can go play anywhere else in the world, what are we doing here? Convince me that this is a place for me to be at. And obviously Slot came there and has a master plan, and that's the master plan right there that these players signed off on.
We mentioned Harry Maguire there. It's just interesting now I'm thinking about it. Like, I think they're roughly the same age, aren't they, Van Dijk and Harry Maguire?
I think Harry's a couple of years younger, maybe.
Oh, is he? He's not, but he's not far off. He's not a young slip of a young thing, And he's
32.
Maybe a year younger.
Yeah. But he's coming to the end, not the end of his career, but maybe the end of his Man United career, and he's looking at the shambles all around him, from all the hopefulness of being the defender that brings them back to titles, and then Virgil van Dijk is looking around and going, "Oh, this looks tasty for me." I'm a happy Liverpool boy, but I'm also glad I'm not Harry Maguire. He's got a head like the cliffs of Dover. That guy. But it lends itself, do you think, boys, to a general positivity? We're all excited for winning the league, but we all also want to look forward. We want to make sure this isn't it, because we've done so much hard work on the field and off the field, not always to our liking as fans, but off the field, to make sure that the success is sustained. And losing a great manager like Jurgen Klopp could be the roadblock. That could be the stumbling point that makes it fall apart. Like replacing Alex Ferguson with the guy from Everton. He was a nice guy by all accounts, but still, that's not the move you make. We made the right move, and it looks like we made another right move here. If we can't compliment them on their scouting, unless they hire Jorgi Schmatke to come to go sit on the beach and sign some players, we can't compliment them on their manager choices. We can't compliment FSG on their manager choices, can't we? And the fact that looks like we're going to support this so that his success isn't just a once-off.
I mean, and this is the thing about the manager, and I don't want to say reservations about the manager, but I have things about the manager that he needs to tick off his list. For me, now, I will preface by what I'm saying there is that I don't know what an Ancelotti signing looks like. I think we are all speculating into terms of what an Ancelotti signing looks like. We have an idea with Zubimendi, you could argue, of what type of player he wanted, at least for midfield. You could argue that.
It's not Chiesa, for sure.
Took a punt, Anthony, and they'll probably still make money on Chiesa as well. So that's the funny part about all this. But I don't know what next year he might just go and get me a boss number 6, and I'm playing McAllister and Szoboszlai in 2 number 8s, and we'll all go from there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He might just do that. Go and get me a £70 million number 6, and I'll deal with the rest. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, I'll be all for it. So I'd much prefer that anyway. But we don't know. And I feel like the manager could be, just hear me out, playing a system because it suits the players. Because you might have walked in the summer and went,
you'd want them to, really, wouldn't you? We've seen how it fails miserably at Man United with Hammer trying to fit everybody into a system they can't play.
You don't want to do the Amarin thing of just coming in and go, this is my system, I'm playing 3-5-2 with Liverpool players, and it doesn't work. You want him to come in and kind of adapt to what's happening around him, and he might have done that, and he might have delivered the prize that we've all wanted, and he'll have full credit for that. Of course he will when it eventually happens. But I'm really excited to see what his idea of players are. I don't know, because by the looks of it, it looks like he wants to throttle Darwin Núñez every time he looks at him. So I have no idea what is an Ancelotti number 9? Because to me right now, this team's built around getting Mo Salah space. So there's a lot of the number 9 work. It can be leg work. What Liverpool really need is a 25-year-old Roberto Firmino. That's what Liverpool really need, right? But the problem is he's such a damn unicorn. You can't find him anywhere. So it's interesting, mate, but I'm really excited to see what the manager can do. My reservations come from I will want to see Liverpool start winning games 3-0 again. When you're in control of the games, that's all. And I started to explain this in the post-match after West Ham, because I was saying to be honest, I was just taking the piss a little bit in the Discord because I was just trying to get bites and rides because I was bored. But I'm trying to explain to people, like, when you're that on top in the first half, you should just bury them. You're at Anfield, you're on. Don't care how you're on nerves, bury them. Literally make it 3-0, and that's it, it's done. Not even a conversation. It's not your game. Liverpool, in the last few weeks, I've started to give teams a sniff. And I've had enough of them giving teams a sniff. I understand the stress. I understand the pressure that they are under. Liverpool have won 5 out of the last 6, by the way, in the league, and they deserve full credit for that. But I want Liverpool to go back to whacking, especially at home, by the way, when you're that on top in a game. We were unbelievable against West Ham for 45, and I want to see it. So I'm excited for the manager, I really am, to see what he can do and what his stamp is on this team and what kind of players he's interested in.
Brian, I'm going to start with you, but we'll swing it to Cozzy as well, because it's a thing for Cozzy. It's a soapbox almost. But does this bode well for Trent Alexander-Arnold, or do you think he's still off on his toddles anyway? Especially, I think it was mentioned in the Discord, I only got to see it briefly, but the treatment of Ancelotti now at Real Madrid just because they got knocked out by Arsenal. I mean, it really is a what have you done for me lately situation at that club forever and ever and ever. Do you think there's, the fact that Salah has signed, the fact that Van Dijk has re-signed, and the fact that they seem excited about what the plans for the summer are, may just swing Trent Alexander to go, do you know what? I think I want to be a part of this for a few more years.
I mean, anything can happen, and I mean, it's nothing's a done deal. I mean, but I do think that right there that you have a lot of heads, a lot of people talking to Trent and talked him up inside his head. And I think that's probably one of your big problems that you have right there is that he is basically just getting this balloon d'or stuff in his head. This thing's right there. It's a lot of more individualized stuff right there that's coming into his head. So that right there is probably the one thing that he needs to get out of his head. And I think Slot right there is a more of a hey, you know what, this is a team effort type of manager. And I think that Trent needs to also reimagine how he's going to come there and play, because I think that, again, by watching how Slot plays right there, it's a traditional right back versus the going and driving in the middle right there where Klopp used him at. So it's going to be actually for Trent to reimagine how he's going to evolve in this squad. But I said before right there, he goes to Real Madrid, he's going to get churned out. I mean, because Marca is very, very, very unforgiving on players. I mean, you could look at at Marca from this last 2 legs against Arsenal, and that's what you see exactly what you got. I mean, they're getting churned out.
Kazi.
Yes.
Man of wisdom. That's why we love you.
Thanks, brother.
But why do you think Trent Alexander-Arnold may actually sign again?
I don't know. It's not even. It's just more of a gut feeling, if I'm honest. It's not like he hasn't said a word. That's one thing. And if he signs a contract next year, if everyone will go, we bottled it or not, we don't know. He'll just say we never said a word yet. I spoke to them. I was entitled to speak to them, by the way, because Liverpool didn't sign a contract before January, and I was in my right to speak to them. There's very much a business side to this as well, in terms of your Trent. I keep saying this about Trent, right? This is his biggest contract he'll ever sign in his career, is the next one, because he's 25. And this will be the most money he will ever sign, ever. I have a feeling that he just might think, I've had a look around and I've shopped around and this is it. This is the best option for me. Is he entitled to do that? Of course he is. Liverpool give him the chance to do that because he didn't give him a contract in January. So you give him a chance to do that. And I know all the rumours about, he looks like he's been talking to them for 18 months and all this. And I'm sure Liverpool have been talking to players for 18 months. Liverpool, before, by the way, and this is what really frustrates me about football fans, and this is all football fans, by the way. We talk about Real Madrid, and of course, they're not the patron saints of football, far from it, especially when it comes to transfers, we understand that. Liverpool tapped up Virgil van Dijk. Literally tapped them up. We took him to Blackpool. We put him on the big one.
Got him a 99 with a flake.
You know what I mean? With a bit of candy floss on his way home. Liverpool had to write a written apology to Southampton, then went back and signed him 5 months later for an extra 15, 20 million as an apology. So let's get this absolute right here, that Liverpool do things correctly. And by the way, that was under the stewardship of Michael Edwards. Right? So let's not, So
it was a cheap 99.
It must have been a good one, fella, because that's why Southampton were pissed off. So this thing, that's what frustrates me as well, Mark, is that all clubs do it. All clubs talk to other players consistently. You hear Gary Neville now on the overlap every week going, I was going to England, duty speaking to everyone. Going, do you want to sign for Man United? Do you know what I mean? So this thing of, Liverpool carry themselves in the right way and Liverpool want to do things the correct way. In effect, I would like to think that's true, but I also know it can't be true all the time. So I have a feeling if you're Trent, you might think, listen, I had to look around, Steven Gerrard openly spoke to Chelsea. So these people, by the way, and again, this is Liverpool fans. I'm not sure what to think about Trent after this. If he did sign, I'm not sure. He'll smack one in against United from 30 yards, mate, and you'll let him. Trust me, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll get over it. Because I tell you right now, fella, in 2006, when Steven Gerrard smashed one in from 40 yards in an FA Cup final, we soon got over it. And Liverpool nearly won the league that year. We were tremendous. So we are football fans. Luis Suarez spoke to Arsenal. Arsenal, by the way. Arsenal, he nearly signed for. And then he nearly won the league. And now we go with Luis Suarez, one of the greatest things we've ever seen. So football fans are very fickle. We just want to put the ball in the net and Liverpool to win 40 matches. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, in my opinion, benefits Liverpool massively. And I've noticed this in the last few games that he's been missing. He benefits us so much on the ball, and he helps Liverpool win footy matches, so I'm all for
it. Final thing on the transfers there, Brian. If you are Jurgen Klopp, I think he's a gentleman and a scholar. Are you looking at that and you're going, do you know that meme? Just shaking your head and going, yeah, that's the way it has to be. Or are you going, my team's going to have to win the league again next year? That Arnie Slot's living off the waves of my success. It's probably not that, is it? Because he's that's just not a Jurgen Klopp thing to do, really, is it? But he's probably quite happy that the two have signed, as much as we are as fans, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I think his whole entire last season right there was to set us up for eventual success. I mean, he didn't go there right out right there when he could have right there when knowing that we were going to make that dip. That's not his character. And I think that's not a character of a true leader and of a true person right there who actually wants the best for us supporters and the club right there. And I think that Klopp right there is probably jubilant right now that both them signed. And I think that he probably would say, hey, reach out there. Hey, why not sign for them? I mean, this is one of the top clubs in the world. I mean, unless you want to come to Paris SC, which you now has a bunch of money. I mean, since he owns Red Bull, since he's a Red Bull representative. But for the most part right there, I think that Klopp is a good gentleman. And I think that he basically said, hey, you know what? This is stay where you're at right there. I mean, you're at the top you're at the apex right now of the football world.
Just very quickly, gentlemen, what I think about it. I saw that rumor that Klopp would leave the Red Bull position and possibly become the Real Madrid manager. How likely is that? Because that doesn't sound like a Jurgen Klopp move at all whatsoever.
Oh, of course not. No, Real Madrid lose a big game of football, get the first manager out there, he's out of a job. Just doesn't feel like his type of move. He turned down United and things like that. He feels like he's extremely picky with his clubs. I don't know what type of club he'd suit. You'd never do Bayern, would he? Because of the Dortmund thing, you'd never do Bayern. You'd say you'd never do the Premier League again. So La Liga does, Simeone's there for life. Hansi Flick versus Jurgen Klopp in Spain sounds enticing for me. I don't know about what it does for Klopp. I just don't know what type of club he is.
Maybe there'll be a reversal and Brendan Rodgers will leave Celtic and Klopp will take over there.
Yeah, you know what? Like a club he might it's like an AC Milan.
Yeah,
it's like that nice guy, big European giant, but people like AC Milan, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Like people love Jurgen Klopp with an AC Milan cap on and that famous stripes. It just feels like they got that history. Do you know what I mean? Like Liverpool had the history for him to go, wow. And then if it was AC Milan, he might go, fucking hell, that's like a sleeping giant. Imagine winning the European Cup again with AC Milan. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like that's the type of move for him, but it just doesn't seem. It seems weird to me. But
no, I think that's made up for Xabi. I think Xabi Alonso is going to want to pull in there.
Same.
Well, now having said that, talking about great teams with great players, we're going to talk about some tonight. Our task is just get us all involved because you guys have all the fun in room 433, and I don't. But there's three special ones: a goal scorer, a captain, and a defender. We got to pick three each, and they can overlap. So as you can see, Klopp at Napoli. I think there's probably maybe a bit too much gangsterism there for Jurgen Klopp, but you never know. But these three legends, and I was lucky enough to be alive to see them in their pomp. They were great, great days indeed, unless you were a defender or a midfielder or a striker. They weren't great days, especially if you were a midfielder and Graham Souness decided he took a dislike to you. Then you better have your insurance paid up in full. So let's go with three captains, gentlemen. Have a pick of your. You guys are staying with the EPL here. That's what you guys are going to restrict yours to. I'm an old bastard, so I don't have to. So we'll start with Brian. Three captains in the EPL here that not necessarily the best ones, but your favorites, the ones that made you go, "I'm glad that guy's my I support that guy." So basically, it's Joe Allen.
We might have the same. We might have the same answers here. So if Bryce says one of mine, then I will help him out as well and give him a bit more on it.
There you go. It's Joe Allen. Yours is Joe Allen, Brian, because you both collect chickens.
Yeah. So obviously my first one's going to be Steven Gerrard. I mean, I think that he basically bled this club right there. I mean, for that. So easily going to be my first one on there. My second one was Henderson, because I think Henderson came there and reinvented what a captain was for this side. I think that he was very sacrificing with what his roles were, and I think that he definitely went there and epitomized what a captain would be. My third, which is a kind of a one that's on there, was Sammy Hipia. I thought Sammy Hipia right there was amazing as a captain right there. Complete gentleman, complete, he was a cheap signing right there then they came in and just like epitomizes what a defender was at that point.
Now, I was basking in the praise from Abdul Rahim there, so I missed your first one. Who was your first one again?
I think it's Stephen George Gerrard.
Stephen G. Gerrard.
Yeah.
Now, we did a nice little talk about Stevie G turning down Chelsea and then forgetting all about and banging. Now, I'll have to complete that sentence so it doesn't sound rude, but banging one in against West Ham. There we go. I wasn't saying anything deplorable about him. He's not John Terry. Let's get it right. But Stevie G, do you think, as great as he was as a captain, do you think his reputation is a little bit tarnished by the Saudi Arabia thing?
No.
Nope.
No, he's got sent. Graham Souness, maybe, like when he wrote for the
Sun. His was way more egregious, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
That rag.
I just feel like, not for me, fella. Like, Stephen was just could you imagine when he had an half decent football team, we just nearly won everything. Like, that's how good he was. By the way, they weren't great; they were half decent. Like, there's an argument that he had one great football team, which was 2009, and we didn't have a backup striker. We had David Ngog as your backup striker, by the way. That was our backup striker. We had a great midfield. We had a wonderful defence. Martin Skate was actually really good. Daniel Lager, Carragher, Hippier. Fabio Aurelio was left back when he was fit. Arbeloa. Reina was in his pomp then, the 2009 season. Liverpool lose 2 games all season, by the way. And the league. Because we had 11 draws, I believe. So, no, Gerrard for me will always be the god. I think he's one of the only players to ever score in every single major cup final.
Yep.
Which is a flipping joke, by the way. So when you talk about big game player, he scored in every major cup final. That is absurd. So there's that. And then I couldn't agree more. Henderson, with the way he left, I get it. I understand why people are a bit egregious by it, but he dragged us to the league title, He dragged us to the league title. Let's get this right. He won Player of the Year that year. Henderson literally won PFA Player of the Year. So this thing of, he was a sideways passer for 2-3 years. He was tremendous. He's tremendous in the European Cup run with Barcelona when he dies on his feet for the footy club. By the way, this is another guy who was getting touted in a swap deal for Clint Dempsey. It's first year in the club, so don't tell me that. By the way, so for the fans, for the strength thing, don't tell me you can't bounce back. Because, my God, you can bounce back. And then Sammy, to me, will always be my favourite. The soft spot, because he's my captain when I was growing up. I was at 10 to 13, 14 when he was the captain, and he was just tremendous. 2 million quid from Willem too in Finland, and he's just an absolute warrior. The goals he scored, the big one against Juventus, of course, and they're on the way to win the Champions League. I remember a goal against Arsenal in the quarter-final cup. Remember the unbelievable? I think the game finished 4-4, didn't it? Ryan Babel scores late on. Liverpool still go through. Just a tremendous, tremendous captain. And what I love even more is that when Houllier wanted to give it to Stephen Gerrard, he said, Sammy was like, yeah, give it to him because of my games. He knew his form fell off. He said, the pressure of the captaincy is getting to me, but I recommend Stephen. And he was just so gracious. And I remember Gerrard told me that I went in to see him because he was shitting himself the next day. He's only 23 or something, given the captain's armband. And Sammy was like, no, you're perfect. I'll help you. I'll talk you through it. I'll be there to lean on. And let's get it right. He could have seen his ass. He could have seen his ass when, I'm not giving it up. Sell me, whatever. You know what I mean? Because some players would do that. Tremendous. Love Sammy.
Paul Ince. Paul Ince.
Yeah, unfortunately, Paul Ince never made the cut. Neither did Jamie Redknapp. But, so wonderful. And by the way, if you ask me this question in 3 years, it might be Virgil van Dijk. But it's going to be hard to get Sammy off the list for me.
So, Brian, what are your 3 again? Stevie G?
We agreed.
Henderson and Hipia.
Yeah, we agreed on all 3.
Yeah.
All 3. Oh, so that I thought you were just critiquing Brian.
That was my 3.
I would be convinced by Henderson, and I think we could all agree that the moment maybe that we saw that Jordan Henderson was a Liverpool captain was staring Diego Costa out and making Diego Costa poop his pants against Chelsea. That was a fantastic bit.
Yeah.
Because he was people forget if you're not like aware of it, but he was literally bashing players left, right, and center, defenders left, right, and center all season. Like he was like the Graham Souness of that period. Like, you didn't want to get near him. And then Henderson was just.
Do you know what, Mac, as well? People forget he gets suspended against City in 2014, and basically we lose the league in 2014 when Henderson's out suspended.
Yeah,
gets an off, sending off. It's a silly one. It's a silly challenge, man. And he gets suspended for the Chelsea game because Gerrard couldn't run at the time, and Henderson was doing a lot of his legwork, and Coutinho was making the bits happen. And I always forget about that he was suspended for those games, and it's just that breaks my heart as well because he just nearly wins the league in 2014 with Liverpool as well. So it would have been wonderful.
That's the thing is that I don't think that Crystal Palace 3-3 game happens with Henderson. Even in, like, I say this all the time. I'm getting into the 14 season, which I never want to get into ever again. But that Chelsea game, I say all the time, they scored in the 44th minute. And Liverpool, when you actually, I remember, like, it might have been 8 years ago now, I watched the game back in full. Because my head told me something, and I was like, I've got to
Can we not watch that video again?
But honestly, mate, right, we're so dominant with the ball, but we're so panicking and rushing. I was like, we just need an Henderson here to just get your foot on the ball and go.
Yeah.
We'll draw 0-0. If you don't want to win the game, we'll draw 0-0 and we'll take our points and win the league that way. Because Liverpool could have just drew the game, beat Palace, beat West Ham, and you've won the league anyway. So it was done anyway. It was still in your hands. But we just had we just got agents. We had no complacency. And there's also a pass this where Gerrard's position is that could have been Henderson getting that ball and going to Steve and go out. You know what I mean? So it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. But we definitely missed him in that build up towards the end, at least.
My three, I'm gonna go with them. He did an awful job as a manager, but the man with the moustache was the scariest bastard in Europe. I think he just ran midfields in Europe, and probably the ultras in the opposition fans as well. I'm pretty sure they were afraid of him too. But Graham Souness would be my fourth one. And I would go with. I'm gonna go with Van Dijk. I'm gonna go with Van Dijk because we need what he's been giving us in the modern game, coming up to this part, like, you know, that transition. You needed somebody to help lead it, and he just feels like Liverpool. Like, that's what he just feels like he gets it. To me, you know, we've had players and major players who didn't get it, and they were good players, but they just never got it. But Henderson got it. We thought, but he did get it, and Van Dijk gets it, and I think that's rare. I think we're going to see less and less of that as it becomes more global and money concerned. And then so Zay gives me my other one because he was in that picture. Alan Hansen, my ward. That was, you know, most teenagers, certainly most teenage boys, get their first, you know, hormonal stirrings to maybe Madonna or something like that, or, you know, Britney Spears if you're of that generation. But Alan Hansen and his clean shorts at the end of a game where the other team hasn't had a shot on target, and he hasn't even broken a sweat stopping them because he was that good. I've never seen a defender outside of Maldini and Baresi read the game so well for a kid from Scotland, of all places.
Yeah. He's like the equivalent of Virgil van Dijk now, isn't he?
Essentially, yeah.
That's what he was. Yeah.
But Scottish.
The Scottish Virgil van Dijk.
The Scottish Virgil van Dijk.
I don't think there's a bad answer really there, is there?
There isn't. I'm sure we could have a different conversation with captains we never want to see again.
That's next week's topic.
That's next week's topic. So next one then.
Come on.
And let's try and swerve away from the players we may have named. But 3 favorite defenders, central defenders. Go with you, Cozzy.
I'm not going to, Sammy, of course, and Virgil, but you have just said we mentioned them and stuff like that. Carragher. I think Carragher, mate, because of his punditry work, he's got this thing around, not that maybe a stigma, let's say, of what people think about him and stuff like that. By the way, it's the same thing that Alan Hansen had when he was on Match of the Day, and Mark Lawrence and players like that. By the way, we were tremendous for Liverpool, as you can just explain. Carragher was unbelievable, you know. There was a point there from 05 to 09. I would put him up against anyone, including John Terry and his Pomp and his Rio Ferdinand. I would put him up against anyone. 737 games for Liverpool. unbelievable stalwart. Centre half, man, it's so difficult. But I'm gonna, you know what? I'm back and forth on a couple here, but I'm not going to say the obvious ones because it will be Virgil and Matip and players like that, right? But players who deserve a shout out. Stefan Oncho. Stefan Oncho for 3-4 years was unbelievable alongside Sammy Appiah. Let's get this right. Liverpool just went through the Spice Boys era of the 90s where we just didn't win anything. And I've got a big thing about Liverpool in the 90s, and I know you lads know this, of like how just bad we were. You know, we spoke about Razor Ruddock a couple of weeks ago and stuff like that. And then Stefan Oncho comes in, by the way, signed from Blackburn. Like, didn't really make the cut of Blackburn. And then he just forms this partnership alongside Carragher and another centre-half who wasn't a centre-half for Liverpool, but Marcus Babbel. And were just unbelievable. And he was just tremendous. And he does he handballs on the line in the FA Cup final, which is absolutely hilarious. It really is funny that happened. And he was a tremendous centre-half and really good for at least 3 to 4 years. And then, yeah, Agger will be up there, but I have a thing against Agger. I really do. I don't know what it is. There's something about him. It's the same with people like Martin Skirtle as well. They just remind me of also ran players, like nearly there players. Do you know what I'm saying? So I am struggling for that other one. But you know what, mate, right? I'm going to go. I'll go Agger. I'll go Agger just over Skirtle. And the reason why I'll go Agger, he was just what Liverpool needed at the right time for the price. 6 million quid. Bromby comes in, left-footed, cultured, handsome bastard as well. And if he wasn't injured, it's just what could have been in terms of like United had this probably, and Macka or Irish, you have this with Paul McGrath probably of what could have been of like if there was no injuries. Do you know what I mean? I have that thing with Daniel Sturridge. If there was no injuries, you know what I mean? Like what a footy player. And Agger's that. You will forget, by the way, like during that 13-14 season when it feels like that's not really Agger's team. Agger's like 09, 2010 era. I think he plays like 26 league games, you know, or 24 league games. He plays more league games than you think, Daniel Agger, that year. So I'm just, I'll go down 3, gents, because I don't want to say the obvious ones of a Klopp team and stuff like that. And I'll put Stephen Corker 4th. Actually, we sounded as a striker. I can't even say him, can
I? Brian, your 3.
Okay, so two of them right there. Kazi already said right there, Agger and Jamie right there. To me, Agger just like I've seen somebody cry when you leave this club right there, knowing that that's just so much right there to me right there. I mean, I think the guy bled for this club. I watched him, like, he was physically almost unable at one point to come there and play, but he still got on the pitch. Jamie right there, Jamie's just, like again right there, the amount of matches he played, it was incredible. I mean, you can, again, another player right there who hands down came up there and just played his guts out for us. My other one right there is a free transfer that came through, Kolo Toure. I thought Kolo Toure was so amazing right there coming to us. He gave us a little bit of that, like a little of an old head right there, of a player right there who came in, and how much of a fun of a song right there was with the escalator scene right there singing the Kolo Toure song right there. This is such a good time right there, and I just enjoyed watching. I enjoyed him being with our squad.
Now you stole my one for the more modern one, Kolo Toure. I've just in terms of like favoritism, like he's just
a likable guy,
a great guy. Like he's one of those ones you're gonna go out on the night, on the piss with him for a night, and you just, you're gonna end up in Belgium or Morocco or somewhere like that.
I can't forgive him for passing it to fucking Victor Anajibi at West Brom in 13-14, and we draw the game 1-1 away from all. It sticks out to me like a horrible thing, but I do agree for a free transfer for that big experienced old head. He played his part in that 13-14 season. He really did. And by the way, I think he's the only player, and this is for little stats for your friends, he's the only player to have 2 undefeated seasons in his career. He did
Arsenal and Celtic.
Arsenal.
Yeah, that's unbelievable, isn't it? What a start.
And he did the same thing at Celtic. He went up there and he was the old head. He's
only played to do it twice at Arsenal and Celtic. Yeah, it would have been unbelievable.
So Toure would be mine just for the personality, sheer personality of it. I'm going to go old school again, but Tommy Smith, just the iron the iron. What do we call him again? The Anfield Iron. There you go. A
that.
proper scouser. Let's be honest here. A proper scouser. Not like you modern ones, Cozzy. He had scars on his face. but people forget Tommy Smith was a striker when he started. He got moved back to central defence by Bill Shankly, and they kept his short number. He was a number 10 playing in central defence, and nobody knew what to do with that because they were so boxed in with like what number was what position, like we are these days, outside of the squad numbers. But he was as tough, if not tougher, than Graham Souness, but a surprisingly cultured player. If you watch him back, he could pass a little bit. Plus, he got that third-headed goal in the 77 European Cup, or second goal maybe it was. But he got that goal and then promptly told everybody afterwards, we never practice corners. We never practice it. That was a fantastic corner. So Colo Touré, Tommy Smith, and Mark Lawrenson, just to keep it a little bit Irish. You know, he's a dopey pundit and, you know, a bit of an arsehead these days. But he was just as cultured as Alan Hansen, just a little bit dirtier because he was a dirty player. If you watch him play. And part of that team, I'm going to say the real only reason I follow Liverpool Football Club and not Arsenal or Celtic or Manchester United in those days was because everyone on that team with their moustaches and their half perms looked like all my dad's mates. And I literally thought my dad's mates played for Liverpool. And also because he had a friend called Kevin Keating. And I kept thinking that was the same guy that was just playing for Southampton that played for Liverpool. That's how it starts, kids. If you're partially deaf and a bit stupid, you end up following Liverpool in 1992. So he makes a good call here. Glenn Hussein.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very, very good, and yet again another Permo injured central defender, but is also hilarious on Twitter or X when I used to use it.
Okay.
So here is the next one. This could be the one where we may disagree. Your favorite attackers, but they must be consistent goal scorers as well. They don't have to be centre forwards necessarily, because we already had one question asked. So I know somebody's getting picked here. But we go with Cozzy.
It doesn't mean the best. It just means your favorite.
Your favorites, the ones,
okay.
The ones.
That's a broader spectrum, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Because we're all gonna pick like Kenny Dalglish or Ian Rush or something like that.
Yeah, I'll stick Premier League here, and I'll throw a few curveballs at you as well, because it mix it up a bit. The one, apart from Salah and Mane, and Firmino, it's just a joke. It really is a joke. Like, by the way, I was at a game when fucking Brendan Rodgers played him left wing back. Fucking Jesus Christ. Brendan Rodgers played him left wing back. And then Jurgen Klopp comes in and just turns him into like this magician player I've never seen before. I'm like, that can't be the same lad I just watched at Arsenal on their own. Get ram ragged. I actually think he scores that game, to be honest. But Roberto Firmino was a heaven. He was heaven to watch. Tremendous. Miss him dearly every day. One I'm going to say, and I mentioned it before, Daniel Sturridge. It's another what if, innit? What a football player. He had the lot, He scores the best cup final goal, maybe in Liverpool's history in terms of quality and technique, up there with Gerrard's. Like, it's so good, that goal in the Europa League. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. Like, and I don't say that lightly. Like, when it comes to goals, it's an unbelievable finish. And then he has that 13-14 season, which Sturridge and Suarez, just a magician of a football player, contributes a little bit for Klopp. Still contributes in terms of scores the goal against PSG to open the scoring in the group stage and things like that. He contributes towards the end. You know what I mean? He's finished, literally finished, but his ability is just still there. And then it's hard because I get Torres for my fate. I know what he did. But when I was at an age, and this is why I'm saying him, if I was going the game and stuff like that, I never seen anything like it. Like, you're up there. Like, I didn't see Owen in '96. I was too young. I seen, you know what I mean, where they had that burst of pace from 5, and you're like, oh my God, he's left everyone for dead. And I've seen the videos back, and I get it. That was Torres. That first 18 months was a joke. It's an outright joke of how good he is. Never seen movement like it. He brings another game to Steven Gerrard that I didn't think Gerrard even had. It was just Gerrard and a 10. I think Gerrard gets like 18 goals and like 10 assists or something that season. It's a joke. And what Torres was at that time, I was in love with him. He's the one thing, Matt, right, that I mentioned this. I will never get heartbroken about a footy player anymore because he broke my heart. And he literally broke my heart. And now I understand the reason why Liverpool did it, because Carragher spoke about it. I know he couldn't run. I was at the Chelsea game, by the way, when he scores the 2 at Carragher. I was at the game. I remember thinking, and I was also at the game when we lost to Wolves around Christmas time, and he just couldn't run. And he was finished. And I know that. But he broke my heart. He really did, because I loved him more than anything in this world, Fernando Torres. And you know, but for those 18 months of what he gave me was just so special, and it's just heartbreaking that he didn't win a trophy with us. It's like the Suarez thing, you know, like didn't only won the League Cup with Liverpool. It's just like, fuck me, lad, you deserve to have 3 or 4 titles with Liverpool.
Yeah. Brian.
So again, Kazi Nako there has similarities right there. I mean, especially right there with Bobby Firmino. I mean, I love Bobby Firmino. I'd probably go right there. What an incredible footballer! What an incredible guy! I mean, there's so many things that likable about him. With us. I mean, his contributions will never. He's he's a unicorn, like Kazi said right there. He's probably up there, probably one of the greatest forwards that we've ever had in this club, easily right there. Just but for all his overall play that he's done. Torres, I just remember that Adidas commercial coming through there. I just remember watching him play with that whole combination with Gerrard. I mean, it is just nothing but love right there too. I mean, my little nephew right there, who was like 3 years old at the time, was singing Fernando Torres song with me. I mean, that tells you how much right there. That it was this incredible time period. The other one right there is a guy who I saw live when it was the first time he came on, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a sensation. That's Jabril Cissé. Love Cissé right there. I love Cissé to this day right now right there. I mean, it's like he's such an outstanding player. I like watching his son play right there, his son Prince play right there for the academy right there. I mean, it's like he's a stand-up guy. I mean, and I can't, seeing him coming on and playing for the Legends a couple weeks ago was fantastic. I mean, nothing but praise for Cissé.
He's another one, though. It's the what if.
Yeah, those 2 broken legs right there. I mean, you don't know what he had accomplished.
You know what I mean? And I know Rafa didn't really rate him that highly. I get that, because he did a lot of Barros that season, didn't he? On his own.
Yes.
On his own. But the manager's learning the team as well. But yeah, man, for his contributions as well. He scores a pen in the Champions League final. But he's great when he comes off the bench. When you watch it back in full, he's great. Because I think he comes on for like 10 minutes and he just runs the ball into the corner. He understands the assignment of like, we're dead here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I'm sure he comes on for like 10, 15, if I remember in my head, and he understood the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
His goal in the FA Cup final goes under the radar. It's some finish, when he's fallen back against West Ham, when he hits that canard volley. It's unbelievable. He scores away at Goodison Park, which I can always get on board with. So, he scores big goals against big teams, and that's why I always think about football players as well. Do you do it in the big games? And Cissé did it in a few of them, so.
Yep.
I love Cissé as well. Houllier signing too. Well, so obviously a crock at that point.
Yeah, I think Rafa hates him, didn't he? I think just Rafa came in and go, I don't even want him. No. And they were like, it's too late now, we've done the deal. Do you know what I mean? And you got to take him. I just think Rafa just kind of didn't see to him the way Rafa wanted to play kind of deal, and didn't really fit. And then he breaks his leg at Blackburn when he's finally canting to get going, and it's just unfortunate what happens for him. So.
My 3, I'm going to go old school, and I'm going to go for 2 players that don't get recognised and played in the same team. And just because we've mentioned him already, this was the 1987 to 1990, whatever, equivalent of Bobby Firmino, but Peter Beardsley, the ugliest player possibly that ever played for Liverpool, but the genius and intelligence and sheer balls of Bobby Firmino, just nowhere near as handsome. And in complete negative, he had no teeth in the front. He had false teeth in the front, as opposed to Firmino's gnashers. But what a player to watch! You just loved to see Peter Beardsley on the ball, because it was like watching with Coutinho as well. You just never knew what was going to happen, and if it did happen, it was going to be something good. The second one, because he played for Ireland as well, but only played 2 seasons at Liverpool. Johnny Aldridge.
I knew you were going to say Aldridge.
83 goals in 50 games, that lad. And like, just a phenomenal player. But who was going to compete with Ian Rush? As soon as Ian Rush came back, he knew he wasn't getting a start, unless Ian Rush was injured, because Ian Rush probably scored 80 goals in 83 games. He was that good at that point in time.
Yeah.
But a phenomenal, a proper Scouser as well. And, part of the reason why Tranmere Rovers is one of my favourite teams, because he managed them later on. And also,
he's a legend for them, man. He's a
legend for he player manager, and then manager.
Put him up there, Mac. He's got for Tranmere. He scores 138 and 243.
Yeah, the guy had. That's what we were talking about earlier on. The guaranteed 20 goals a season guy.
He has 2 seasons of Sociedad when he goes from Liverpool.
Yeah, he went.
He scores 33 and 63.
He was El Zorro. He was El Zorro in Sociedad.
Top player.
Great player, and a great lad out for a night out, apparently, as everybody in the old Submarine pub in Dublin knew, because he used to go over and do those after dinner speeches. But yeah, fantastic, great for Ireland, great for Liverpool. Then my third one is this is a soft-hearted pick. It's Divock Origi, because that kid just made moments for himself. He was never going to be a great Liverpool player, but he made moments for himself that other strikers, like, who's going to remember that Fabio Borini played for Liverpool in 10 years' time? I don't think even Fabio Borini remembers that he played for Liverpool in 10 years' time. But Divock Origi will have a story to tell in every bar he goes to that has a Liverpool fan. And it'll be a different story every time.
Do you know, Div, right, I always think about this. In Klopp's first and second season, he really starts to grow into his own. And he gets done by Funo Zamori in the derby, if you remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Puts him out for the year, breaks his leg, basically. I think he does a cruciate or something he does bad, and puts him out for the year. And I think that's in like the February or the March in the game, I'm trying to remember. And then I think Liverpool go and sign Mane in the summer. And it's like, and then he does this thing with Firmino. And by the time Div comes back, it's basically Mane, Firmino, and Coutinho. And like, do you know what I mean? But for that first season, mate, when Liverpool are like struggling to find an identity, he does get into it for Liverpool, So this thing of like, he might have not had this great career, I don't know. But that moment when he gets cropped in the derby, he's playing well. I think he scores that derby as well, in the derby that day. I always think about myself, if he doesn't get cropped, what would the plan be? Do you know what I mean? Like, listen, and that's what stories are about, unfortunately. It's like Nathaniel Klein gets injured, Trent comes in, the rest is history. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Divock Origi gets injured, Mane, Firmino, and Salah comes in, and the rest is history. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to say, but I do remember that original 12 months, 18 months of the Klopp, he was great. He really was.
Yeah, but somebody who played with enthusiasm every time you came on the field, and I think one of those that can always go back to Anfield and get a round of applause, especially if he scores an own goal.
Should have a fucking statue outside of my
opinion. Yeah, that was. But just because we've talked about players that do not represent Liverpool well, either during or after their careers at Liverpool. But he's not. He's one that's going to be your favourite son. A David Fairclough almost. Somebody who's always going to have that reputation. Not quite in the A stream, but gave us some A stream moments. Now we talked about Aldridge being the Fox in Spain at Sociedad, and we're playing the Foxes. Nice segue there. That's why I get paid the big bucks of $1.97 a month. We're playing Leicester away on this weekend. The march towards the title continues. Brentford doing us a great favour against Arsenal, and Arsenal doing us a great favour by beating Arsenal last weekend. I think it's 6-point swing in our favour.
Yes, 6 points, but the title could be over this weekend. If
that's 6 point. Yeah, it really is a 6-pointer weekend. If anybody ever wants to know what that means, this is the way to explain it. Arsenal lose 3 points, we win 3 points. Bingo, bango, bongo. Get that name on the Premier League trophy. Brian, what are your feelings for this game?
Leicester City are bad. They're really bad. I mean, there's nothing more you can really say about that. I mean, and I already said before right there, to like on Monday's podcast, I commented, the sooner I never see Barty again, the better. Right there. I mean, honestly, right there. I mean, that run, that 40-yard run that he made against us. I can't remember what season it was. Right there, that was their title-winning season where he just came there, that ball over the top that he came there and just burned us on. I've hated him since. I mean, so to be rid of him would be perfectly content with me. but they're bad. They're really not a good side. They're dead men walking right there. I mean, honestly, right there. Honestly, all three of those sides, Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton's already down, but there's no way back for either one of those sides. So mathematically, sure, but they're all really, really bad sides. If you can't beat this side, you've got problems. You've got other problems out of the world right now. So, I mean, that's how I feel about them. I mean, this should be done. This should be like a 3, 4, 5-0 type of game right there. But it's not going to be because of how we play. I mean, I can see this being a 2-3-0 type of match like that. But I mean, I don't see us going like being a goal bonanza on this right there. I think they're going to have some resiliency right there from both Verge and Mo signing their contracts and stuff like that. I think you'll have that little bit of up, but I think Leicester just has that little tiny little glimmer of hope that they have to stand up is going to give us a little bit of problems, but I don't think there's enough problems for them to win.
Cozzy, do you think the manager will actually rotate for this game?
No.
He gave us a little bit of a tease there last weekend, but not enough of one.
I mean, he might start the same 11 that's starting against West Ham. Let's get this right. The same 11 for 45 minutes against starting against West Ham was fantastic.
Yeah.
They would submit to winning the game 3-0. So his argument is when he did Jones and Bradley and stuff like that, it worked. It did work for 45. Leicester are bad. They haven't scored a goal at home since December the 8th. It's April the 17th. They haven't scored a goal, not won a game, at home. They have won one game since December the 3rd, and it was Spurs away. That's how miserable that football club is, by the way. Right? That is absolutely absurd that you have not scored a goal since December the 8th, which definitely Liverpool means Liverpool are going to win 4-2 now, probably, just to piss me off. But this is a really bad football team. This is a team who have no identity, no way of playing, and want this season to be over as soon as possible. And Liverpool might do them the favour this weekend. Liverpool will just put the bullet in you, and I think it is mathematical that they can go down this weekend. I think if West Ham get a point in the cup, I think it is mathematical. So let's get this right. For Liverpool needs 6 points. Let's just assume Arsenal win. You couldn't for Liverpool's next two. You couldn't handpick two better fixtures. You have to go away from home. I'll go to King Power, please. If you want to play a home team right now, give me Spurs. Yeah. In the semi-final of a cup. And you know what I mean? Like, they got nothing else to play for. They might just rest 10 players. Yeah. You know what I mean? Spurs. So, it's in, you know what I mean? In terms of, can they... I'm at the stage here, Mac, where I'm thinking, can they do us any problems? No. They can't. They shouldn't. And if Liverpool do what they did against West Ham in the second half, Liverpool will have problems, but probably still will get over the line anyway. But Liverpool do that. Unless Liverpool tie off the league this weekend, I would be annoyed because you shouldn't give them any hope. They shouldn't have any hope. They will go down as one of the worst teams ever in Premier League history. They might not have the point record to go for it, but right now they're on 18 points. They might go down. By the way, they might finish 19th in this league with 18 points. That's how bad the other team is. So Liverpool should just do the decent thing and beat them comfortably.
The other thing about it is, for me, is that it's another nail in the coffin of the whole, the ex-players becoming managers because of who they played for nonsense. Because Van Nistelrooy looks like he's never done anything in soccer at all. Yet again, from Alex Ferguson's coaching tree.
I agree with that, by the way. By the way, that's definitely a topic next week, is Alex Ferguson and the people who went on to be successful managers. Yeah. Him, right? Because my God, there's none of them who were good. No, zero. Yeah. But Ruud is interesting. Ruud does really well at PSV. Really well. Gets a really good tune out of Cody Gakpo, by the way. Yeah. Right? He does all right. He's never been at the bottom where he might be great with boss teams. Do you get what I'm saying? Where they go, we can win every week. Where he hasn't got to motivate bad players. Sometimes I always think, I always watch a quote with Paul Merson when Glenn Hoddle was the England manager and they were doing corners. And he was like, I want you to whip this corner in a certain way. And Merson and McManaman couldn't do it and stuff like that. And Glenn Hoddle went, give me the ball. Just do it like this and whips it. And he's like, we can't do that. You're better than us. Yeah. But Ruud van Nistelrooy is better than us. It's like, hey, I want you to do this little jinky move. And that's like, we can't do that, fella. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't read the game like you. And I just feel like that is it's an awful appointment. especially mid-season. It's an awful.
Yeah.
Just go and get the firefighter. The Steve Cooper thing was never going to work because the Forest-Leicester connection. It was never going to work anyway. But I think when Cooper got sacked, they were 15th in the league.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing the job. He's literally doing the job. Like, but they wanted more because they signed Oliver Skip for 20 million quid.
No.
So here's where we're at, and he will go down as one of the worst ever. He might go to Holland and have an half-decent career, who knows? But he'll look back on this as a massive learning experience.
Brian, do you think the biggest problem that will happen to us on Sunday will be us?
Yes.
Absolutely. Because after I watched the calamity of their defenders last week, I mean, they literally came there. Leicester's defenders were. It was like, their defense was 6 and 9 the entire time, right there against last week. So yeah, I think obviously we have to beat ourselves to get beat by the sides, or to drop points against the side.
Go ahead.
I'm just checking here, like Leicester's, last few results. So they draw last week against Brighton. They concede 21 shots. They lose 3-0 at home to Newcastle. Newcastle have 16 shots against them. Right? Man United, we know what they are. Go there and beat them 3-0 3 weeks ago, and have 18 shots. When was that time Man United had 18 shots in a football match? Like, this is a bad football team, and they need to be given what they deserve for being a bad football team, which is a whacking. But you put the nail in. This is the time when everyone sits there and goes, you know what, Liverpool? Oh, it's a poor league. No, Liverpool, go out and show you why you're the worthy champions live on Sky on a Sunday night. Go out and show it on the TV where everyone's watching, and Liverpool go out and whack 5-0. And especially if Ipswich do, the decent thing against Arsenal, and then Liverpool all celebrating and going, this is why we're the champions. Do you know what I mean? So it's a nice game to play. Listen, we shouldn't be complacent, of course, because Liverpool have shown in the last few weeks that they can have sticky 20 minutes in games. But even if they have a sticky 20 minutes, they shouldn't be getting beat by Leicester. Far from it.
Brian, give me a score prediction and who you think will impact the game the most for us.
I hope we keep Diaz on the left, because that was right there was what caused all this stuff from that last week. Was Diaz was on the ascendancy in the left and was just causing so much trouble. If Diaz stays on the left, this could be like 3-4-0 easily, because I think that Diaz will just scare the shit right out of that defense, and I think there will be this because you're talking about the Brighton result. Those 2 goals that they scored, that Brighton scored, were probably some of the worst defending I've seen in quite a long time by Leicester. I mean, it was just, heads were just all over the place. So on that right there, if we can stick to our game plan, should be 3-4-0.
Kazi, what's your prediction?
I can either think this is the one where we look back and go, Liverpool play like champions. I think this is the game where, do you know what I mean? And you go, Liverpool play like champions today, like really assert themselves and create lots of chances. And I think we'll do a decent thing and whack them 3-4-0, yeah. And that's exactly what I want to see. But impact player, mate, Bry's right, it is Diaz. When you have a player who's when you have a player like him, Macka, and we've all seen these players out at Liverpool. I'll give you something like Luis Garcia and players like that, where they're very streaky. They'll have 6 great games and pour for 6, and then have, when you've got them and they're in that form, you've got to just play him for 90 in the right position and let him just do his business, because you don't know when you're going to get him again. And I really think that, I brought that on the post-match, I thought it was a massive mistake moving Diaz. He didn't want to put Gakpo down the middle for whatever reason, whatever that's, that's on the manager. But let's just let him have a run at them, please. Like, this is not a good defence. They'll be petrified of him. If he's in the same form as he was for Everton and then last week, he should run them ragged all over the pitch.
I think that Diaz is probably the absolute human epitome of the hot hand.
Yes.
It's a hot hand.
And there's a lot of
gambler's fallacy, but he definitely has it.
Exactly. But there's a lot of players like that, though, Mac. Like, there's a lot of players around the league like that. There's thousands of them. But Diaz is just one of them at Liverpool. Again, I've seen players like this at Liverpool in the past. Again, I go back to Luis Garcia and players like that, where they just have that little streak of runs, and you're like, bang, he smashed. He scored 4 and 6, and then you haven't seen him for 6. This is the streak. Yeah. When you've got him, you play him, and you're playing for 90, and you leave him in the position and going. I thought he was unbelievable against West Ham for an hour. I thought he was tremendous, and then the sub comes on and really, really blunted us really when he went back up front. So
I'm going to go for a 3-0. Darwin Núñez no, we're not going for that. We're too late in the day for Darwin Núñez hat trick. But impact play for me, I'm going to say McAllister. I think he'll have one of those games and maybe put forward his credentials for future Liverpool captain. Maybe make Trent jealous, and then maybe next week we hear Trent like, I want the captaincy. I'm signing. You're for 10 years. You're stuck with me. But we'll see what happens with that. Now that brings us to the end of the show, people. If you were smart and one of the cool kids, you would have done this at some point. You would have followed us on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or X, formerly known as Twitter, to get all of the updates. Join us on the Discord. I believe there's a coffee show tomorrow morning, coffee and tea tomorrow morning, and then probably a pre and post match on Sunday. And happy Easter to anybody who celebrates, but we'll all be eyes on the game, except for me, because I have to go to the family. But, it's a great time to be a Liverpool fan. Now, some people, for the week that's in it, they go to a Liverpool game and they don't come home. And that is why, as much fun as we have here on ASTV, we have to remember it is ultimately just a game. This is an emotional week for Liverpool fans. We always want justice for the 97. That will never stop until they get the justice that they deserve. So we will see you tomorrow and we will see you Sunday. Peace out to everybody. Enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. Love each other, because that's what you got to do. And remember, it's all for them and for those who came before us. And, hopefully they're looking down and enjoying this fantastic season as much as we are too. Okay, peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.